A thunderstorm rolled through Calgary late this afternoon. There were dark skies, lightning, and heavy rain in some places. It moved on quickly, too, though. We're tracking what comes next tonight. Here's what else is making news. Breaking ground on a major aviation facility. But who's going to work there?
We need to make sure that we have the right balance.
The challenge ahead to find staff for an industry that's thousands of people short. Plus, the province updates its passenger rail plan.
What we really want to see, though, is a comprehensive plan to connect the province through trains.
Will we see high-speed rail between Calgary and Edmonton? And what would it cost? And heartbreak for families on the journey of surrogacy.
We've lost a little bit of hope and a little bit of our dreams that could have came true.
Not just money gone after an agency suddenly closes its doors.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Terra Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. A new state-of-the-art engine maintenance facility has broken ground near the Calgary airport. The building will be the latest addition to an aviation industry that is really taking off here in Alberta. But it could have one major hurdle to clear before it can open. Our Tim Brooke explains.
A major $120 million investment in Alberta's aviation industry has officially broken ground. Lufthansa Technique celebrated the launch of its new engine maintenance facility at the Calgary International Airport Wednesday.
We're establishing a new benchmark in engine maintenance.
Come 2027, engines for WestJet's Boeing 737 fleet will be serviced here, and the build will also be home to Canada's first engine test cell, yet another addition to a growing sector.
This facility will enhance our domestic capabilities. It will reduce reliance on international maintenance operations.
But at home, there is a problem brewing. The country is facing a serious shortage of aviation workers thanks to retirement, COVID, and the cost of training. One group estimates we're currently short 7,300 pilots and 5,300 engineers.
There will be less planes flying, and we don't want that. That impacts so much of our economic development. So we really can't let that happen.
But there is reason for hope. New partnerships with the Alberta Aviation and Aerospace Council, governments, and post-secondary institutions have instilled some confidence.
We need to make sure that we have the right balance, having the right immigration policy and goals, and at the same time make sure that we have the capacity to afford important immigration across the country.
And Lufthansa Technique says a recent recruitment effort has already filled 30 of a possible 160 roles at its new facility.
We had really good talks already with Minister Jolie, together also with the federal governments, but also with the provincial governments, who just underlined the importance of the aerospace sector and what we're doing here.
And Tim joins us now with more. Tim, there's another addition to YYC on the way.
Yes, Calgary Airports has announced YYC Terra, and that's a technology and infrastructure hub. Now, the whole idea is to give airlines better access to support services and training to keep more of the airline industry and really more of the airline industry's opportunity right here in Calgary.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Alberta's master rail plan is rolling ahead, but it comes with lofty ambitions and major questions. The province is exploring how to bring back regional rail service to Calgary, something that left our city decades ago. Jordan Canagan joins us from the southeast tonight. And Jordan, the talk of regional rail comes as another major train project moves ahead.
Terra, as the province looks at an Alberta-wide rail project, the stop-and-go Green Line here in Calgary is moving ahead once again. You can actually see underneath that orange tarp a C-train car for the groundbreaking of the Green Line has been set up. That is happening tomorrow. So Calgarians know how difficult these type of train projects can be to keep on the rails. So how difficult would an Alberta-wide rail project really be? Via Rail trains last rolled through Calgary in 1990. The service was cut in order to save money, and regional rail in the area hasn't returned since.
And a lot of the lessons learned still stand today. Via Rail is very subsidized by the federal government as it is today.
And Cooper says any future regional rail service in Alberta needs major government involvement. The shuttered Via station still stands next to the Calgary Tower, chained up and covered in graffiti. But the Alberta government is now studying passenger train services once again.
This is quite significant, actually. And then when you look at how funding plays out with these big infrastructure projects across Canada, it's usually provincial governments and federal governments working together as the main funders of these overall projects.
Public sessions this week show considerations for passenger trains to go from Calgary out to Edmonton, Banff, Lethbridge, and more. And they are strongly considering high-speed trains as well.
That's pretty exciting to see. You know, I think a lot of people kind of get a bit pessimistic on high-speed trains, but I think Alberta's reached the point where we have the population, we have the commuters, we have the amount of people.
But specific routes and possible costs are still unknown, as is whether Via Rail would be a partner through Calgary again.
We certainly have had, discussions with Via about what their future expansion plans are, and they're very interested in our study and how we may be able to work together or connect.
And with Alberta's fast-growing population, the province needs to plan ahead.
You can only build roads so big, you can only get so many vehicles, you can only park so many cars in certain spots. So we need other ways to move people between these cities, and the most efficient way to do it is through passenger trains.
Jordan Cadigan, CTV News, Calgary.
So Alberta's Master Rail Plan virtual sessions continue tonight and tomorrow. Planning will continue for the next few months, and costs and timelines could come out by the fall. A major thunderstorm rolled through Calgary this afternoon. Let's check in with Gina Martin now. Has it pushed all the way through now?
We're definitely in the dissipating stage of the storm, and it really dropped our temperatures down too. We're at 15 degrees right now. Overall, 7-degree drop from where we were before the storm rolled through. So we see some rainy looking clouds behind me still. Could we get a second wave? That's what I'm keeping my eye on. We still have tons of watches and warnings in effect, from severe thunderstorms to tornado warnings, more in the Saskatchewan area. But I want to take us back in time just briefly to 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's the cloud bank there. Doesn't look like much, but it quickly goes from this to this severe storm that went through this classic supercell in quick fashion, and now it's in the Arikana area, moving in a northeast direction. So it still has some juice to it, but we're keeping an eye on if we have enough energy available, enough heat to see more thunderstorms this evening. So stick around. I'll be monitoring that in real time throughout the show here. Tonight, though, dropping down to 12 degrees, and we could be in for round 2 of some thunderstorms tomorrow, Tara.
Thank you, Gina. Hopeful parents from around the world say the sudden closure of an Alberta surrogacy agency has left them at a financial loss and emotionally devastated. The company's owner says the business fell into financial trouble after his wife, the agency's founder, passed away. Fertility and legal experts say surrogacy in Canada is quite flawed, adding even more challenges for couples who need help building their families. Here's Stephanie Thomas.
Kim and Martin Apple say they have been trying for 12 years to have a baby. They signed up with Alberta-based JA Surrogacy Agency Canada and spent about $20,000 in hopes a surrogate would carry their biological child. But on Friday, they received an email that JA would be closing and all the employees terminated.
Makes us feel stuck because we kind of lost not only a financial aspect, but we've lost a little bit of hope and a little bit of our dreams that could have came true.
A couple from Ireland told CTV they spent $19,000 with JA Surrogacy to help find a surrogate and cover her expenses. Now they have to start the process all over.
Now we're just completely devastated about the whole thing, and then we're really trying to focus on the future instead of the past, but it's very hard.
JA Surrogacy was founded by Jennifer Allen. She died in 2023. Her husband, Phil Allen, inherited the company, but tells CTV News in a statement it now has more than $150,000 in debt. His goal now is to trace all funds and provide clear answers to every intended parent, surrogate, and service provider affected. He's even gone to the RCMP. Nobody has been charged. The company's now former CEO tells CTV in a statement Allen closed the business without notice or severance, and the company lacked the funds to address debts or offer refunds. One fertility lawyer says it's likely these clients are left without recourse to get their money back.
The key thing is to make sure that the money that's in trust, which is there for the benefit of the surrogate and managing her expenses through the process, that is protected.
Surrogates cannot be paid in Canada under law, but things like hotel stays and transportation can be covered. Agencies are not regulated, and surrogates cannot be compelled to carry a pregnancy as it's not a service or commodity. Fertility advocates say the agency's closure highlights the pitfalls of surrogacy arrangements in Canada.
Even regulation, in my opinion, is not going to save that. Companies go bankrupt, and it is tragic and it is awful when it is so hard for this already incredibly vulnerable community to have to experience that.
Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
So again, the fees collected by agencies cover the surrogate's expenses. Matches are not guaranteed. Police have arrested and charged 2 men with defrauding a Calgary nonprofit association out of tens of thousands of dollars. Police say in 2022, 2 men approached the directors of Bowness Ratepayers Scout and Guide Hall, promising to rebrand it as a community event center. Investigators believe between 2022 and 2024, the 2 men embezzled more than $66,000 by hosting events using organization funds and not paying fees. Police say they also created false receipts for services never rendered, and they used fake email addresses to put money into their personal bank accounts. The president of the Bowness Hall Association says they've been working closely with police, and they are happy that charges have been laid.
So over $66,000 of embezzlement, but in a small community association that's that's struggling to keep a community hall going, supporting the community, this can be a really big fraud. It can have a huge financial impact and potentially devastating impact for them.
So Calgary men, 41-year-old Nathan Michael Mazzara and 40-year-old Joshua Tyler Brado, have each been charged with 1 count of fraud over $5,000. They are scheduled to appear in court on August 6th. The men released a statement denying the allegations. In 2017, Brado was convicted of manslaughter in BC and finished his sentence in 2018.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Nearly a week after a devastating rock slide in Banff National Park, hikers are sharing harrowing stories of survival and moments of extraordinary compassion. 2 people were killed, 3 were badly injured, and more than a dozen people narrowly escaped near Bow Glacier Falls. Here's Mark Villani.
The photos from Bow Glacier Falls are breathtaking, and for Cindy MacArthur, June 19th was a picture-perfect day.
We were just all having lunch and kind of gazing at the waterfalls.
She was part of a group from the Slow and Steady Hikers when suddenly a thunderous crack split the air.
And it was just huge. There were pieces like Legos starting to fall.
MacArthur dove to the side of the trail, narrowly escaping a boulder the size of a truck.
Oh my God, I had like a second. I was just like, God save us, please save us.
When the dust cleared, several hikers ran back to help the wounded. MacArthur says total strangers came together to care for the injured, including Uta Heinrichs. The 70-year-old nature lover and former instructor at the University of Alberta was killed in the slide.
And I said, hang in there, we're going to be here. And I just held her hand.
33-year-old Hamza Benalal was also tragically killed. His best friend Khaled El Gamel survived, thanks in part to the team of hikers who refused to leave his side.
I said, you're not closing your eyes. And I just made sure I was keeping him completely focused.
But despite their own injuries and fear, the group sprang into action, offering water, calling for help, and staying with the injured until rescue crews arrived.
We all take care of each other. When you spend 6 to 8 hours together on a trail, I often tell people you can't help but be your most authentic self.
Slow and Steady group organizers say it's a testament to how prepared hikers have to be, using GPS satellite beacons and making sure they always have the proper equipment.
We share water, we share snacks, we share blankets, we share layers. That's what hikers do. It's a community and a family. And they all came together last Thursday in a beautiful way.
Parks Canada says the rockfall was a natural, unpredictable event. The trail to Bow Glacier Falls remains closed indefinitely. But in the face of tragedy, what endured was the instinct to help others.
Everybody's a team.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
A GoFundMe has been launched to support Hamza Ben Halal's family, and a hike is scheduled for July 3rd in memory of Heinrichs. For more information, you can visit our website. Video of a big grizzly to show you now, spotted roaming through the Kananaskis golf course. This video was taken during the G7 summit. The course was closed to visitors, so there was less risk of an interaction like this. There are about 60 grizzlies living in K Country. As a threatened species, they are protected. Heritage Park will be closed the next 2 days for filming the TV show Billy the Kid. Sets are already going up, covered in red, white, and blue bunting and American flags. Crews will be filming part of the 3rd season of the romantic adventure based on the life of the famous American outlaw. The entire village will be closed to the public during film and on Thursday and Friday. Gasoline Alley and the shops and restaurants outside the gates will still be open. Heritage Park Village will reopen on Saturday. Just ahead on CTV News, the price of NATO appeasing the U.S. Canada joins other NATO allies and commits to a major boost in defense spending. And later, the tiny pest who might be doing a number on your lawn. What you need to know about chinch bugs. Still to come. The Prime Minister is on his way back to Ottawa from the Netherlands after making a major commitment to boost Canada's contribution to NATO. Mark Carney has agreed that Canada will almost double military defense spending to 5% of GDP. That puts this country in line with 31 other NATO members, something that put a big smile on Donald Trump's face. He is the driving force behind this big development. Here's Jeremy Chiron.
A highly anticipated historic sit-down for the NATO alliance started today with a clear message from Secretary General Mark Rutte.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible.
That has been Donald Trump's pitch as he drove the charge to increase the alliance's defense spending pledge.
NATO is going to become very strong with us.
Alliance members making official today what was expected, a new baseline spending target of 5% of GDP to be reached by 2035.
This is a significant commitment in response to significant threats to our security.
The fact that we are doing this today, the fact that we're united, the fact that the United States is fully behind this, the fact that we're working together is going to reduce the threat environment 10 years from now.
3.5% will have to go to core defense spending, with a requirement to spend another 1.5% on defense-related infrastructure investments. Carney says meeting the 5% commitment would mean earmarking $150 billion a year for defense.
So yes, we'll find gaps. We'll be transparent about that. We'll make up those gaps. So the overall context of the net increase in defense spending is much less than the headline from 2 to 5.
But key to today's new pledge from the alliance, a plan to review progress in 2029, ensuring it still meets the needs of the global security landscape.
Senior government officials tell us they see an opportunity then to address whether the breakdown of 3.5 and 1.5 could be balanced differently, a change they believe could be better for Canada. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, The Hague.
Canada's increased commitment to defense spending has one Calgary company hoping to cash in. Munitions is a commercial manufacturer for pistol and rifle ammunition and brands itself as a favorite for precision sport shooters and law enforcement. Calgary Shepherd MP Tom Comich visited the facility earlier today. With defense spending rising to meet the NATO commitment, the company's hoping to provide Canadian-made ammunition for the Canadian Armed Forces.
There's no other facility like ours in the entire country, and we're proudly Canadian. The challenge at the moment has just been getting the government's attention, and hopefully that'll change in the near future.
If they want to come down here, I'd be more than happy to make it easy for anyone from the federal government to come and visit the facility.
The munitions company currently has 2 production lines, but has room to expand by 800%.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Well, Gina, we're keeping our eyes on the sky tonight in case another wave of storms rolls through.
That's right. I'm watching that radar like a hawk out there because we're still in the developing stage of everything. It's not quite over yet. Lots happening in the atmosphere right now. We're at 16 degrees, so we've bumped up temperature-wise, which means that sun could create enough instability and heat for another round here, and our pressure is still falling this hour. So, again, we are keeping our eye on the radar in real time here. We have lots of watches and warnings still. Nothing for Calgary, though, but definitely to the east of us, lots happening. And even in the Kootenays as well, still under a severe thunderstorm watch. The Kootenays is what I'm keeping an eye on because that is where we're getting a lot of our weather from. So this is what happened a little earlier. We saw that classic supercell move through, a lot of lightning and a good dose of rain. But let's lift that lightning layer here. And this is my very rudimentary way of showing you the direction of the storm track. So southwest to northeast is the direction of all these cells. And what we're seeing over the highway right now heading west is a little bit of instability that could clip Calgary if we have enough instability. A lot of the first wave that we saw, there was a lot of warm, dry air for that storm to gobble up and then create that active situation. To the east of us, lots happening still in Saskatchewan. We're seeing a very organized squall line here, which will produce very strong winds, potentially tornadoes. And if it starts to arch a bit, that bow echo effect can make things really nasty out there. So keeping an eye on a lot of things right now. We could see this happen again tomorrow, too. Probably not as severe out there, though. But the rainfall for the next 24 hours suggests we still could have a little bit going on for the next couple of hours here. Starts to taper off as we get into the overnight hours. Really from midnight to tomorrow morning, it'll be nice and clear and sunny, but we do get that uptick in widely scattered showers right at around that noon hour, holding on for a couple of hours throughout the afternoon, and then it starts to subside. So tomorrow afternoon could be our next wave of active weather. And again, we could have that possibility of a couple embedded storms still drifting through Calgary later tonight. Your Action Furnace 5-day forecast showing tomorrow, again, very similar setup to what we saw today with a high of 22. 19 for Friday. Expect some showers, cloudy conditions. Saturday, a similar setup as well. Disregard that summer icon there. Yes, we're in summer, but that was a little last week. That icon just wanted to stick around, I guess. But heading into Sunday and Monday, nice sunny conditions. Ignore the rain on the screen there. We'll get back up into the mid-20s by Monday.
Thank you, Gina. School is almost over for many Alberta students, but there's still no deal for teachers. Some tell us the limbo is frustrating, but so are the low wages. And new money for the Trade Accelerator program to help local small to medium-sized businesses grow. Those details just ahead. It was a spectacular end to the school year for grade 8 students in Ontario. Lightning struck during the graduation ceremony. A lightning bolt hit the school and cracked the chimney. Now, luckily, no one was injured, but the building was damaged. The ceremony was moved to another school. Alberta teachers are counting down the days until summer break, but teachers and parents still have some things to worry about. Teachers voted in favor of strike action earlier this month. Some say the pay is so poor, they're walking away from the job altogether. Tyler Barrow reports.
School is almost out and the summer awaits students and teachers. For Calgary Board of Education EA Hannah Basaraba, she's excited to come back in September as a full-time teacher.
I'll be able to set up my own classroom and I'll get to be in a building and learn from experienced teachers.
Much remains in the air for her and her colleagues. The Alberta Teachers Association and the province are still working to hammer out a new collective agreement. In early June, the ATA turned down the latest deal brought forward as over 94% of its members voted in favor of a strike. Working conditions, a main issue. And here's an example of how things have changed. In the 2012-13 academic year, classroom sizes ranged from 19 to 26 students across all grades, according to the ATA. Now,
colleagues of mine who are teaching classes in the 30s and the 40s.
ATA members also weren't happy with the proposed wage increase of 3% a year. Basaraba is set to enter the Calgary Board of Education salary grid with 6 years of university experience. In 2012-13, a teacher at that level earned nearly $65,000 a year. But when adjusted for inflation, that wage would now be valued at over $87,000, according to the Bank of Canada. But under the deal that was just rejected, that salary was pegged at $73,000.
Teachers have received essentially a 6% raise over the last 12 years. That has been a loss of purchasing power to inflation.
The proposal also included grid harmonization, which could result in an up to 5% wage increase and $400 million in classroom improvements. In response, Finance and President of Treasury Board Nate Horner said the ATA was offered a fair deal made in good faith, and I am disappointed that the ATA members did not accept the mediator's recommendation for a 4-year agreement. The ATA says its members are leaving the profession, and Alex Santangelo is an example. She was a full-time grade 3 teacher from December 2022 to June 2023. She ended up going back to her former job.
I make more money bartending. I can't afford to teach, and the emotional toll that it took on me, the mental toll, the amount of work.
Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
Last week, the ATA met with the province to relay concerns teachers had in hopes of finding a path forward to a new deal. The City of Calgary honored her with an award today, but Doreen Healy delivered a message of frustration in her acceptance speech. Healy is unhappy that Calgary still does not have a public Indigenous gathering place.
That really hurts. When you think about, like, what other groups has it taken you 7 or 8 years to negotiate a piece of land? And you're sitting on Treaty 7 land. So I won't go into detail.
Mayor Jyoti Gondek presented the Chief David Crowchild Memorial Award to Healy, recognizing her efforts to foster reconciliation. She's an elder and residential school survivor from the Kainai Nation. When her daughter was found dead in 2023, she pressed Calgary police for better protocols in communicating with Indigenous families in similar circumstances. Grade 10 student Kaylee Morning Bull won the MITS Anaha Agunanelene Achievement Award, meaning person with a kind heart. Kaylee participates in business programs and performs as a jingle and fancy dancer. Was a famous scene from a famous movie. Something about this parade scene has gone up for auction, and movie fans were quite invested. Stay with us. Today's afternoon rainstorm might help give your lawn a boost, green things up a little bit. Unless, of course, you are afflicted with a tiny pest that spends its days eating your grass and destroying your yard. Kevin Fleming explains.
The telltale sign is a yard with dead grass surrounded by green lawns. Nathan Tobias has to get low to find a chinch bug, but it doesn't take long.
Now, this is perfect environment for chinch bugs to really start to get very active and start to do damage because they love hot and dry. They do not like cold and wet.
James Soika owns yard dogs and says last year's water restrictions combined with hot weather made for a perfect environment for the bugs.
They will, over time, start to suck the juices from their blades of grass, inject a toxin, and it will cause damages up to the point where someone has to completely resod a lawn. They will completely destroy a lawn if they can go unchecked and untreated.
Tamara Schutzley wants to prevent that from happening to her lawn. She makes sure the grass isn't cut too short and has plenty of water.
The problem is yes, like my lawn looks green now, but if everybody doesn't take care of and do their part, like it's just going to keep coming back. So it needs to be like a community thing where we do it together.
Jackie Lebenzon is an assistant professor at the University of Calgary who studies insects. She says bug activity is determined by the temperature.
When it's hot, they're going to be moving fast and they're going to be out and active and foraging and finding food. And so because of the heat, I think that was really the kicker last year. So if we have a cooler August, it might be a little less extreme.
She knows that many Calgarians don't like spiders, wasps, or ants, but says insects make up 3/4 of all animals that live on land and pollinate 75% of all the food we eat.
The insects that are around that sting or bite or cause any harm are the ones that give people pause about, getting full into entomology. But I think if you let them be and just kind of give, the insect space and not be so scared or dead set on eradicating them, I think people can, start to see the beauty.
Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
So lawn companies tell us it takes 1 or 2 applications to get rid of the chinch bugs in your grass, but in most cases that dead patch is not going to come back. It will have to be reseeded or sodded altogether. A little bit of work might be entailed.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to kick trending things off with a bird of prey who likes to play. Okay, haven't seen this before. This is Benji the Hawk, and he loves agility. He can do the tunnels, he goes up and down the ramps, he can weave in between the poles.
Benji's smart.
Benji is very smart.
I don't think Benji would try to peck my head, but it's okay.
But Benji can also fly. I'm just like, he's taking the harder way.
Yes, I don't know how they trained. Maybe Benji was injured at some point. And
Maybe,
well, let's do this as part of our rehab. I don't know.
He's talented, that's for sure.
Well, it's gardening season, and some people need all the help they can get. Of course, if you have a big yard, help is always welcome. This woman has 4 happy helpers. They help carry the water cans into the garden. Except sometimes they get to the end of the job and they don't actually want to give up the jugs for her. It turns into a bit of a game at the end, but I'd still take the help.
They're trying to get rid of those chinch bugs.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing.
Look at them.
Team effort. Let me at them. A piece of 80s movie history has just fetched a small fortune at auction. Okay, you probably remember the movie. The iconic sweater vest worn by Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off has sold for more than $279,000.
What?
Yeah, so he wore, let's just say it, that ugly vest in the Twist and Shout parade scene. It was one of the standout items at a Sotheby's sale in New York. It attracted a total of 11 bids.
Jeez.
Wonder who paid that.
I don't know. That's a lot of money for a sweater vest.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a mixed day on the markets, and there may be a deal with DHL Express workers to end the impasse and get those parcels moving again. We have the details just ahead in our business report.
Welcome back. Taking a look through our Skywatch weather camera here, showing the calm after the storm, or is another wave coming? It's a bit of a wait-and-see situation at the moment, but certainly not expecting another wave like the one we saw during the 4 o'clock hour there. That did bring a good dose of rain over the city, some gusty conditions, and a lot of lightning. Also cooled things off quite considerably. Right before the storm swept through, we were sitting at that high of 22 degrees, and then that storm did quick work of cooling things off. We went down to 15, but we're back up to 16 currently out there. So well in the seasonal range for the most part today, and tomorrow is going to be a very similar setup, but there's still a lot of active weather developing across parts of Alberta and into Saskatchewan right now. So still some tornado warnings in effect around Saskatoon. Back here in Alberta, still a couple of areas, or a lot of areas, under that severe thunderstorm watch, and a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as well. And you can get a clear idea of where the storms are tracking when we throw on that radar satellite. Let's dive into Calgary once again real quick here, just see what's going on. I mentioned a little earlier what's happening over the Trans-Canada from Canmore could clip parts of Calgary, but we're seeing a lot of the activity that's close to the mountains starts to dissipate the more it gets close to the city there. So that's why I don't have high confidence that we're going to get another nasty round of weather like we did this afternoon. But when we advance our future cast, there still could be some instability tomorrow afternoon. Anywhere from about noon to 3 o'clock, we're seeing these small thunderstorms pop up. And then by Friday, just mostly cloudy for the most part. Could see some showers and some embedded non-severe thunderstorms as well. Your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Action Furnace, fixed right or it's free. Showing tonight dropping down to about 11 degrees, back up tomorrow afternoon to 22 degrees with that thunderstorm risk. But by the time we get into Sunday, ridge of high pressure moves in, bringing back that sunshine and those nice warm temperatures.
This weekend ahead. Thanks, Gina. Construction has begun on Lufthansa Technik's engine maintenance facility near the Calgary airport. The facility will service engines for WestJet. This comes as Canada faces a severe shortage in aviation workers. The Alberta government continues to roll ahead with potential plans for regional passenger rail, but we are at least 15 years away from buying any train tickets. And the sudden closure of an Alberta surrogacy agency has left devastated couples without a baby and out tens of thousands of dollars. The situation is highlighting pitfalls of Canadian surrogacy laws. Canadian businesses continue to negotiate the uncertainty of the trade war with the United States. It's caused a slowing of the economy and it's impacting entrepreneurs. But new funding from the province aims to get things back on track. Here's Jacqueline Wilson with the details.
It's been a year of uncertainty for Stumpcraft founder Jason Robillard.
We've been having to deal with the chaos as a result of the tariffs.
The Calgary wooden puzzle maker hopes for tariff stability in the months ahead, leading to more economic and job certainty.
We're a luxury product in a sense, and so when disposable income decreases or uncertainty, economic uncertainty manifests, people tend to be a little bit more clingy with their hard-earned dollar.
A new report by Deloitte Canada says the economy has the potential to rebound as businesses gain more clarity on trade issues and adjust to new policies.
That uncertainty has certainly seen businesses pull back in terms of putting investment dollars to work, and we've seen a softening in the labor market, which is having a run-on effect in terms of consumers who are worried about their job security.
Deloitte forecasts a moderate recession during the second and third quarters of the year, but that's far from the worst-case scenario predicted earlier in the year from the trade war.
We believe in a strong, tariff-free relationship with our neighbors to the south. They're our largest trading partner as a province.
The province is working to help small and medium-sized businesses grow and reach international markets, announcing a $2.8 million investment in the Calgary Economic Development's Trade Accelerator program for the next 5 years.
The future for Alberta is bright. We have a premier and a government that are laser focused on removing red tape, removing barriers for businesses, expanding trade relationships internally within Canada and around the world.
Deloitte predicts Canada will return to a growing economy next year, with energy-producing provinces like Alberta leading the gains. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
Enbridge says a lot would need to happen before it would propose a new pipeline to the West Coast. Premier Daniel Smith expressed confidence one or more private sector pipeline operators will come forward with a plan to ship crude from Alberta to Prince Rupert for export to Asian markets. In a statement today, Enbridge says it will explore projects provided there is demand and that it would take real provincial and federal legislative change around climate policy, regulatory timeliness, and Indigenous participation. The Calgary-based company is Canada's largest shipper of crude oil. It looks like the DHL strike is over. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more on that and other business headlines.
Unifor says it's reached a tentative agreement with DHL, the parcel delivery company. More than 2,000 workers have been off the job since last Friday, paralyzing the company's ability to deliver across Canada. The union won't reveal details about the deal until workers have a chance to vote on it. That's expected to happen over the next few days. The company and the union had been at odds over replacement workers and other issues. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up slightly to 72.88. West Texas Intermediate is up to 64.92. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down more than $4 to $52.84. And the TSX dropped 152 points today, closing at 26,566. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
It came down to the wire at the Calgary Ladies City Amateur Golf Championship. This was the shot of the tournament, and it led to the victory. Glenn has the highlights for us next. A BMX rider from Red Deer has been recognized on the world stage. Molly Simpson took home the win at the UCI BMX World Cup in the women's elite category. The 22-year-old says the win is a dream come true. The race took place in France earlier this month. It was the final round of the Calgary Ladies City Amateur Golf Championship at the Calgary Golf and Country Club. Glenn is back with us. And Glenn, you were out there today. You saw some amazing shots.
Tara, did I ever? It came down to the last few holes, and in the end, a player that was close to winning last year ended up hoisting the trophy this year. Another beautiful day at the Calgary Golf and Country Club. This is five-time champ Megan LeBlanc of Bears Paw on the par 4 14th. She ends up with a birdie here. LeBlanc shot a 2 over 73 today, ends up at 10 over par and in fourth place in the championship. Same hole, Tessa Ion of Pine Brook makes an incredible par after sending her approach into the trees. She comes up well short on her third shot, but that didn't bother her one bit. She steps up and she just goes and drains this chip for par. Amazing ion shot, a 73. 6 over 4. The championship ended up in second place. Sydney Bisgrove of Canyon Meadows had herself a very good day. Long putt for birdie on the par 3 here. This one tracking, but just falls short. She shot an even par 71 today, ends up at 8 over it in third place. 18-year-old Asa Savadati of Canyon Meadows came close to winning the City Ladies Amateur last year. Wasn't going to be denied this year. Check out the bunker shot on the par 3 17th. She drains it for the birdie. Defending champ Emily Cornwall. She struggled on the greens today in the final round. Just couldn't get anything to drop. Shot a 78. 11 over in all. Finishes in 5th place. Savadati shot a 269 for the second straight day. She is the 2025 Calgary Ladies Amateur Champ. And after the round, she talked about that incredible bunker shot on 17.
I wasn't really expecting much from it. I just wanted to get down the green somewhere and paced it out to like 3 yards, really small landing area, and just happened to, you know, hit it at the right speed and it went in. You know, it feels great because I know Megan is a really good player, and you said my group was really good the whole day. I think it only got it was pretty close to like the last 3 holes. So I'm just glad I got to, you know, pull it off.
Another great event put on by the Calgary Ladies Golf Association, and the Calgary Golf and Country Club was in awesome shape as usual. Well, tonight on Golf Tips, the one-handed chip. Can it help your game? Scott Urban is a big fan of it.
Mackenzie Meadows Golf Tips with PGA Pro Scott Orban.
Scott, what are you doing?
Look at that shot.
I know the shot, but come on.
Look at that
You're
shot.
doing it with one hand.
One hand. One hand. I got to tell you, I just love hitting it with one hand.
Like, you hit it really well.
I'm playing them a little wide.
So, but like, if you're practicing, how does that help you with one hand?
So I think what happens with one hand is we really have to play with our instinct. So I set that ball up, and I'm really just trying to make contact. So you start thinking a little bit like a kid again, you know, instead of, oh, I got to do this and I've got to do that. So I like to get people to learn to do this, just this little shot, okay, and try to get a sense of what's happening. I'm going to hit this one in. Oh, I'm off to the left again. I'm going to have to work on my alignment.
Yeah.
But then once I get that feel, Glenn, and you can see it's back into this right foot, and my handle is quite far forward, then I just put my left hand on there and give myself a sense of that feel. And now I can really tell I am going off to that side, get a little bit of rhythm.
Now this one could go.
And with 2 hands, I get a little better. So get that rhythm with one hand, and the key is your setup, how you set up with one hand. Oftentimes I'll see golfers set up here. When you set up with one hand, you're going to find that you're going to de-loft that club a little bit, and that's really a good key to good ball striking.
Good one.
You know I didn't line up on that one.
I know. You got to stop practice, man.
I don't know what that was.
Next week on Golf Tips, how to hit that good shot off of a downhill lie. It's a difficult one.
I could use both of my hands, both of your hands, both of your hands, and I still couldn't do what he's doing.
Exactly.
Great. Well, we had a pretty wet afternoon, and we're kind of watching the sky in case more rain is coming.
Yeah, there could be the chance for some light scattered showers in some parts of the city, most notably maybe that northwest quadrant, a bit of rain moving in from that Canmore area along the highway closer to Calgary here. But a lot of this precipitation and these storm cells are dissipating before they get into the city. Now let's take a look at that weather window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. Jeff Adams took this close to Pinoca. He's a storm chaser here in Alberta, so it was kind of refreshing, a bit of a different type of photo for him of those lovely canola fields in bloom. Yeah, we do have a couple more days of this unstable weather right through to about Saturday, and then the sunshine back by Sunday.
Thanks for your company tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.